Hey gang, it's 3 a.m. and that's just a little bit past the blogging hour. I've been up to some interesting things today. I started learning HTML on Code Academy, which has been kind of really nice. I've studied coding before, like I took two programming classes in high school, and when I was in college, I was teaching myself Java for a bit. I One of the ways I justified getting my philosophy degree was I figured I always planned on going into programming anyways, so I would just teach myself how to like code Java while learning philosophy, and then just wasn't going to rely on my degree for my for my career, and just use the skill set I built on my own. But after messing around with Java for a while, I kind of started to think that like a life as a programmer wouldn't be very fulfilling for me, so I kind of let it go. Um, but I've started learning HTML with Code Academy recently because while life as just kind of tinkering and building this random thing for some corporation I don't really care about didn't seem that interesting. I kind of got this idea in my head to try to like learn to be a web developer because you can freelance with that, and that seems much more interesting to me. Like the idea of possibly like working for myself, and just kind of like being untethered and like gathering clients and just like more than anything, I want the freedom that comes with that. And there's a very unique freedom that is available for the first time in this kind of era that technology offers. And I'm lucky enough to be in a position to take advantage of that, right? With with working in tech, you can work from anywhere in the world, communicate with people, whoever you need. You can work cities over from people. If you need to talk to someone, you can talk to them on the phone. You can send them emails. If you need to like interact with them or like collaborate, you can just send them files over the internet. You can be free. You're not locked into a place. And I think learning to be a web developer and working freelance would be a way to have that. And so while, slaving away in some office building, cranking out code for, like, I don't know, to make some database for Dominion Power to track, like, employees or customers, it doesn't sound that interesting. Working for myself and just going nomad and having the freedom of just having, I want the freedom, man. It's a way to make a living wage, and it's a way to have that freedom. And I can just do whatever else on the side. So that's kind of why I want to learn how to be a web developer. And starting to learn HTML is the first step for that. I've always been good with tech, and at least in the tech world, web development has a reputation for being easy. But I mean, I don't want to take anything for granted. I mean, I know it gets a lot more complicated if you do like if you're making like web applications for like a major business, like something like Wells Fargo's like banking system would be a lot more involved, and that's technically web development. Um, but just working one on one with like individual businesses, like kind of like mom and pop shops, restaurants run by a chef, and helping them establish their online presence. Working with maybe like freelance photographers or something like that that want to build a portfolio website for themselves. That kind of thing, seems like would be in the realm of possibilities. And if it's successful, it could build, you know, maybe I could spread business elsewhere. The point is like it's I don't know. The idea appeals to me, and I just kind of started pulling the trigger tonight on actually developing it. And a lot of it's well, I've just looked at the basic stuff so far. It's fairly simple, and I don't know. That'll be interesting. Also, the other thing is, it's nice to learn a concrete skill. I spend a lot of time in the abstract. I mean, even in my coursework, philosophy is about as abstract as it gets. There's not really any real concrete results. And the economics I studied is also rather abstract. I studied it through the School of the Humanities, and even if it was in a position, even if I was in a position to like construct public policy, that's not something you wouldn't see the effects of that for like a decade. So it would all still kind of feel up in the air. And even once you finally did all the research and analysis and came up with your prospect, like your your I guess your project proposal, or your policy proposal, like it'd be a whole another probably like a year or two before it gets approved, and then like more years until it's enacted. Everything's kind of in the abstract. And even with my writing, which I feel like I've been getting better at because I've been writing like a lot more in the last few years, can't really, it's not really something you notice, right? You can't really measure like improvement in writing with a yardstick. So like it kind of like I feel like I'm getting better, but it's not like there's nothing concrete to it. So learning like an actual skill set where I can see myself like get better and have like more and more capabilities is very satisfying. It's a nice change of pace. So that's kind of neat too. I've been using Code Academy, which is an amazing interface for learning this kind of stuff. It's a lot more interesting than when I was just sitting with my Java reference book a few years ago and just typing in their examples myself and what I guess Eclipse I was using into an IDE. This thing has like it has the instructions in the side panel and then like a text editor built into the web page that can work on right next to like the instructions, and then it also has like a side window that automatically generates the code so you can see the results in real time and visit it. And it's just an awesome service. It's great broken down. It's broken down very nicely, moves at a nice pace. They kind of done like that gamification of education stuff, where they like reward you and they have a progress bar. And like there's like badges and stuff, but it's kind of nice. But yeah, it's great service. I mentioned earlier how technology is kind of like newly freeing, and it's not just for people to like I guess open their lives up more. The other thing that's really freeing about it is that tech is it's a real meritocracy, man. You know what you know, right? And the thing is, you don't need a lot of education. Like, and from what my understanding is, all the people I've talked to that gone into tech have basically taught themselves, and all the tools to learn are available on the internet to anyone. Um, all it takes is the time and the interest. And hell, anyone with a computer can learn a skill set that pays 80,000 a year, and that is a really magical thing. I mean, not everyone has like the mindset for it, I guess. Like playing with numbers comes easier to some than others, but it's open and it's there, and if that's something when you want to do, you just have to reach out and take it. And I think that's beautiful, man. um, and it feels like it's a secret. Like a lot of people aren't aware, but I don't know. It's kind of what it's the family business almost. My brother was working as a cable guy, and he bought himself a bunch of like Cisco study guides, and he taught himself how to do Cisco networking and got all these certifications for networking, and he just read it out of a book and practiced at home, and just with his own computer, and he learned how to do it, and now he's gotten jobs with that, and works in the VCU alumni department, and that kind of free classes because he works for the school, and so he almost wound up like that basically got his degree that way. My dad has an art degree in painting and printmaking, and he worked in the building business until like his business fell through like a few decades ago, and then but like during that time he just taught himself to program. It was the early like late 80s, early 90s, so like there wasn't really a lot of developers, and so he was kind of making programs for himself to help out with his business. He was one of the first people to take advantage of the internet, and that kind of gave him a real edge over his competitors. But yeah, he just taught himself, man. And then when his job fell through, I mean, when his company collapsed, he saw a newspaper article talking, just like a job advertisement saying like some kind of Oracle developers needed. No, not Oracle. I think it was Delphi or something like that. You don't see too often anymore. Like Delphi developers needed. willing to pay something absurd because no one knew how to program at the time. It was like just at the end of like a tech bubble, and he was like, "Oh shit, I need to get into this." So he just went to Barnes and Noble and he would read the books there without buying them, and then he set it back on the shelf, and he did that over and over, and that's how he got started in it, man. With the degree in painting, and he does well. And yeah, it's free in the world, man. Of course, not everyone. Uh, Other jobs are needed, so it's not like everyone. Things would break if everyone got into tech, I guess. But I don't know. It's exciting, man. That's what I'm doing. I'm talking way too long. I wish I could. Oh hell, there's a sort of magic to code, man. It's literal magic. You with a few arcane words and like a gesture of your hands, you create something literally from nothing, right? It's just a matter of knowing the magic words. It bends to your will. It's neat, man. It's really neat. There's this magic moment the first time you type in "Hello World" and it pops up on the screen. The computer listens to you. I remember that from when I was 16 in high school. I don't know. So that's what's up. I talked way too long. I meant to talk about more stuff, but yeah, I'm starting to learn that, and that's just the beginning, and it's kind of exciting.